Good evening, Garden City. I'd like to call to order a regular city council meeting for Monday, October 23rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. Our first item is our opening ceremony, which consists of the national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for those service members who have given their lives for our country. Would everyone please rise? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Miller, if you take call, roll call.
Mayor Jacobs.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dolan.
Present.
Councilmember Karafotis.
Here.
Councilmember Squires.
Here.
Councilmember Earl.
Here.
Councilmember Witt.
Here.
Councilmember Lynch. Here. You do have a quorum with all 7 members present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 4 is the approval of the agenda.
Mayor,
Councilmember Witt.
I make a motion to approve the regular Monday council meeting agenda as presented.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. Further discussion from the table. From the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We have no recognitions. I see no county or state officials. No presentations, community events. We have Kim Poma from the Garden City Library.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to extend an invitation to our Garden City Public Library Centennial Celebration on Saturday, November 11th from 5:30 to 7:30. We're going to be at the historic Oddfellows Hall. It's going to be a silent auction. $25 a ticket. The $25 gets you in the door, it gets you dinner, and then there'll be various items that you can bid on. Any and all funds raised do go to the Friends of the Garden City Library, which benefits the Garden City Library. So, thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. We have no petitions, no public hearings. Item 11, the consent agenda.
Mayor,
Councilmember Witt.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A1 through 4 as presented.
Support from Councilmember Karafotis. Further discussion from the table. From the general public. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Action items. Conditional rezoning request for 30712 Pardo.
Mayor,
Councilmember Witt.
I make a motion to approve the proposed zoning ordinance amendment to rezone the lot at the northwest corner of Pardo and Shaka Avenues from R1 single-family residential to conditional R3 multiple family residential.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Witt. Earl, I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Ortega from our Planning Commission, or our Planning Department.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Before you tonight is the property owner of 30712 Pardo Avenue. They previously requested to rezone their property from R1 single-family residential to conditional R3 multifamily residential to specifically construct 12 townhouse-style units with 3 zoning modifications. This previous application was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. The application was denied by City Council. In July, the property owner has submitted a revised application to conditionally rezone the lot to R3 multifamily residential and restrict its use to allow for only 10 townhouse-style units and with 1 modification and that specifically is for the front yard setback requirement. So per section 154.006 C2B4 of the zoning ordinance, when a rezoning application is submitted less than 1 year from a previous application, the Planning Commission does have the authority to determine if that application is significantly different from past applications. The Planning Commission had a couple meetings with the applicant, with the initial application. They provided their opinion on this new application, and the application was resubmitted for even further changes. So then, at its September 14th, 2023 meeting, the Planning Commission determined that the new revised application was significantly different and warranted a new consideration. Following that meeting, at its October 12th meeting, the Planning Commission held a public hearing, considered all the issues, and has recommended that City Council approve this revised conditional rezoning. As a conditional rezoning, if it's approved, an agreement will be signed by the property owner and the city, which will be legally binding, so that the site shall only be developed with 10 townhouse-style units and a design consistent with the submitted plans. That's the summary of the application.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion from the table.
Mayor,
Councilmember Earl.
I just want to confirm, because this was my biggest issue last time, there's enough parking now in the lot for them, for visitors, you know, because last time that was the issue, there wasn't enough parking.
That is correct. Previously, they did ask for revisions to the parking standards. Now, as proposed, with 10 units and with the number of parking spaces on the submitted plan, they will be in full compliance with the required parking for the residents, plus the required parking, off-street parking for guests on their property.
Mayor,
Councilmember Karafotis.
I have a couple concerns. We're doing a couple rezonings applications tonight, and on both of them, it talks about how we're attempting to implement the city's master plan. But with this rezoning, we're kind of disregarding our master plan that recommends that we don't put more than 8 townhouses on this property. This property is only a half acre big, and our master plan says we shouldn't put more than 8, but now we're talking about 10 again. The lot's only 144 by 147. The last time we talked about this, I asked Mr. Ortega after the meeting why the developer couldn't put like 2 small houses on it. And I was told it was because it's too small. So we can't put 2,000 square foot houses on one lot, but we can put 10, 1,200 square foot townhouses. That doesn't make any sense. Either we're gonna implement the things from our master plan or we're not. It's just like we're picking and choosing. I think the back row back here is a bunch of residents from that neighborhood. They're telling us they don't want it in their neighborhood, and we're kind of just disregarding what they say. Granted, we can't listen to every single one person, I get that. But after doing a little research after our last meeting, we talked about whether or not their property values would drop. And I actually found a study that's called Not in My Neighborhood, The Effects of Residential Rentals on Single-Family Home Values. And it's by the Department of Economics from Florida State University, and it's from 2019. Talks about how too many rental properties in the neighborhood of a single-family homes causes property values to either stay stagnant or to even drop. That having no claim to ownership, renters are less invested in the neighborhood than homeowners who have a strong financial incentive to maintain the neighborhood because they're living there hopefully for a long time. It says renters are less likely to engage in passive policing, talking about how they're not as likely to join things like the neighborhood watch and take care of their neighborhood if they're just renters. Another study I saw said that rental properties in a single-family residential neighborhood drops the home values almost 14%. So, and finally, the last thing that we talked about the master plan is that we're doing things to kind of promote the quality of life in Garden City, and we need different housing. We need townhouses and apartments and that kind of stuff. But it talks about how, you know, we're talking about senior housing units. This isn't a senior housing unit. Seniors are not going to buy a townhouse that's 2 stories. They're looking for something small and a ranch, not something with stairs. So I just think with all those things together, that's a lot to ask. To go from a 12 to a 10 when it says we only should be at an 8, and to talk about our property values in that neighborhood. I think there's plenty of areas in our city that we could find, that he could find a better spot for. That's just my opinion.
Okay, further comments?
I have a question.
Mayor Pro Tem Dole.
Can you explain when it came back up before the Planning Commission, where they had to decide if there were significant changes to it, other than going from 12 to 10, what were those changes that they thought were good enough to, you know, take another look at this?
Yes. So in the initial application was merely a change from the 12 to 10. The Planning Commission reiterated some of their concerns in the past that have been brought up with regards to the architectural style, with regards to the screening of the adjacent single-family home from the multifamily development, and those sort of items. The applicant took those into consideration. They came back and they proposed, and initially the application only had the plot plan submitted. The revised plot plan application includes now 2 sheets. The plot plan that does show a screening wall along that western property line, so there will be a screening wall adjacent between the between this R3 conditional and the R1. And then it has the specifics of that standard and criteria that's all in compliance with the ordinance. And then this application also had elevations for not just the Pardo elevation, but also the Pardo, the northern elevation in the parking lot, the east and the west elevations with additional architectural elements. Previously, there was no discussion about what type of elements were there. Now the applicant is proposing multiple types of elements, brick, masonry, also with hardy board siding, vertical architectural elements. So rather than just being a massive wall on that, on the street side and on the west side, it will have architectural detail and elements with varied materials that are not required by our zoning ordinance. They go above and beyond what those are. That's what they're proposing.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question about what Mr. Ortega just said. But is there not just a big wall on the west side with no windows or anything?
There's the changes were, rather than have one material with horizontal siding, now there is vertical column elements with a peaked roof on each north and south end with different materials and different colors as well.
But the west side is just a blank wall? The side
It
that
has
faces the houses?
architectural elements. It's
Yeah.
not blank. It has architectural.
It just, maybe because it's in black and white, it looked like it was just no windows, nothing on that wall.
There are no windows. There are no door
windows,
openings, but there are different materials.
Okay.
Because sometimes the key to that is when it comes to the massing of a feature, if it's just one material and one color, it can be very onerous, especially to a size and scale. However, putting in architectural elements help to make it a little bit more pedestrian style. There are no openings, but there are architectural features.
Mayor?
Councilmember Squires.
Yes, now, are these townhouses going to be sold
I
or
don't know if that-
rented out?
I believe they're for rent initially, but the property owner might have additional information with regards to that. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, if you'd like to
Okay.
speak to them.
Good evening. How are you? So I've been here a couple times already, actually with the Planning Commission before and in front of this panel. And I'm going to address each and every issue, whether it was your question or your concern.
Thank you.
We came into this city and started working here about a year and a half ago, where we purchased the old apartment building that's on 30709 Ford Road, the rundown building, and we renovated that building from ground up, incorporated 9 apartment units in there, which 6 are 2 bedrooms and 3 are 1 bedrooms, and we'll put in an upper scale salon that we stole from Dearborn Heights and brought over here to the city, and we brought in also a security system store. So we have 2 retail and 9-unit apartment building. But by doing that, we have brought in, literally, if I count, 15 new family members, residents to the city that they were living somewhere else, and 2 new retail stores. Now, put that aside. Now, looking at the Pardo property that we're looking to develop here, by doing a 10-unit townhouses, modern style living, we'll be bringing another probably 20 members, family members to the city. That puts us right around 35 new residents moving into the city of Garden City. Now, looking at the dollar amount spent on these 2 properties, we'll be in excess of $3.5 million just spending on those 2 corners right there. We have another project also, and I really don't want to discuss in detail, but Mr. Ortega knows about it, that we're working on is the adjacent to our property on Ford Road on the west side, Knights of Columbus. And we are looking to develop a 10 retail stores over there with at least 16 condo-style living on top, so that's mixed-use building. And if we're looking only at the residential side of that, we'll be bringing another probably 30 new residents to the city. That puts us over 55 new family members moving into this great city. In addition to the 10 new retail stores that we have First Watch, that's looking at that site too. We want to bring First Watch breakfast place over there. And we also have Scooter Coffee. That's a new franchise that's moving into the state of Michigan. So between these 3 projects together, after doing all the numbers today, and we're somewhere about $8 million spending in the city within a year and a half, and that's just myself and my wife. So imagine what these projects can do if other developers start moving into Garden City. Now, keep in mind, this is a great city. My wife grew up over here on Merriman, 6237 Merriman. That's what I met her 30 years ago. So over these past few years, we have lost big tenants here. We lost Kmart, we lost Kroger, we lost Napa Auto Part, I believe, Golden Feather, and Bank of America. These are big tenants that can impact the economy of this city. We're losing them, okay? And I'm trying my best just to move my business from Dearborn Heights and move in west because that's her wishes. She wants to invest in her city. So that's fine. I would like your blessing in doing this project because it really can impact the city economy by, there's tremendous tax revenue that's going to be coming through. Now, to address your question, and it was 8 units or 10 units, is this the only concern you have?
The concern I have is that we're going against our own charter, and that it's a rental property going in a single-family residential neighborhood. I appreciate all the development you've done in this city. That property that you redid that was the camera shop, it looks wonderful. I see the hair salon doing well, and I appreciate that. I just think that the right business in the right place, and to say bringing in rental apartments in a neighborhood, it's going to bring the property up.
Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. I'm a real estate professional, so is my wife. We're both licensed. NAR, National Association of Realtors, controls and manages all the realtors and the real estate licensees in the state of Michigan. I happen to be part of that. I sit on one of the boards of that. So you mentioned a study about new developments can lower property value. That is impossible.
I didn't say new
because
development.
for my profession, I'm a licensed real estate broker, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. The study's been done over and over every year, and every 3 months we get an update from NAR. Any new project goes anywhere in the city will impact positively the property value. Actually will go up. So just to give you an example, Dearborn Heights.
Wait, yeah, we're,
Just stay on task. This is the task. I'm answering the question, how is it going to lower the property value? It's not going to lower the property value. It's actually,
But
it's going to
that's a matter
increase
of
the property
opinion.
value.
There's other realtors that have said it does.
And also, as far as rental, okay,
Yep, had asked if it was going to be rental.
Yeah.
I know you said it
Rental.
was.
we're probably not going to do a rental, but the current market right now cannot support, with the interest rate is going up, climbing to 9%, cannot support sales right now. So maybe in January, we're going to have a drop, we don't know. So we could possibly just sell these condos, these properties.
The last time you were here, you said that they were all going to be rentals at least for at least 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, we were talking about 6.5 interest rate, now we're talking about 9%. So
Okay.
that's
So are they going to be
different.
rentals or not rentals?
Once the project's done and the market turns around, I think they're going to be sold, okay? Definitely. And that,
basically rent to own? They can rent it and then buy it at
yeah, we've done a lot of
the
these things
economy
like
goes
land
up.
contract where people rent to own. And these are going to be on the top rental bracket. We're not talking about $1,000. These are $1,500, $1,700 rent per month per unit. So when you set that bar that high, you're actually bringing in good tenants, professionals into the city. So most likely they will be sold. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Further questions from the table? Comments?
I can,
Councilmember Witt.
actually, after the last meeting that we had you at, and we spoke about this a little bit, I went and looked at the zoning book that we have that has all the different colors and coding to it. That the north side of Part O there, from Dillon to Shaka is the only section that is R1. Every other section down that block all the way to Henry Ruff is R3, besides Dillon to Shaka, where this house happens to sit on the corner of Shaka. So I think it's just the one section of that street that's been left behind and hasn't had any changes to it, whereas the rest of that street, there's, I think, 4 or 5 different apartment complexes. Going behind 7-Eleven is the first one, another one right next to that. Then you get to the small house on the corner. You cross Dillon, Shaka, and then to Shaka is the 2 larger properties, or one large property, the parking lot for Knights of Columbus, the 2 properties that are there, and then you go move back into R3 family housing, multifamily housing. So I don't think it's an issue to change this because it fits where the rest of that street on the north side of the street fits, where all of the rest of it is R3, multifamily residential housing.
Their block is not R3. Or
Shaka to Dillon is the only portion of that north
Right.
side of that street that's
where he's
not.
going to put the property, where all the homes are, correct?
And that's why it's bringing up for a
The next block is
rezoning.
apartments, and the next block is apartments. Correct.
Okay. Further comments from the table? I would say that following Councilmember Witt's,
He's making his comment.
since I'm done talking. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I would agree with Councilmember Witt, that whole north side that sits right behind Ford Road there is all apartments that look a lot less inviting than these townhouses will, so with that said, public comments on this, you'll have 3 minutes. Please come up and state your name.
Hello. I am Pamela Nephew, and I live in his apartment complex right now. Behind us, where he is planning on building a beautiful spot. Right now, it's an eyesore. Anything in there would be beautiful, rather than to have to look at that in Garden City. We walk outside, we're looking at nothing but garbage coming down there. For sure, there are apartments, but there's a couple houses between all those apartments on the same block as that structure is going to be. So the beauty of it is what we need Garden City to be. It needs to be beautiful, and that will make it beautiful. On top of that, he's a great person. He helps everybody, and it's an amazing place to live. So just getting that cleaned up would be really nice. So I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi there. I'm Lisa Clark. A lot of you know me as the co-director of Autos for Autism, but I'm also a lifetime resident of Garden City and been practicing real estate sales. I'm an associate broker at National Realty Centers in Northville, Michigan. And while I agree that we need more improvements to the city and that we need a lot more housing, I know that property real well because I believe that was Nancy Meyer's house, wasn't it? That Meyer's house. So I know this property and I've known that street my whole life. And when I go down there, that particular section of the street has always been a residential, and it just feels kind of like the city is, Garden City. And so I personally feel that the adjacent property owners, especially the Ward family on the west side, Tompkins right across the street, and then the people facing north will be impacted. People, in my experience as a realtor, when my clients want a residential property, they want to be in a residential neighborhood. They don't want to be looking at, a 10-unit apartment complex. And I'm certainly thinking that whoever owns the properties that are facing north would rather look at a treed lot with a couple of homes than, that many units. Another thing is it's going to increase their quiet enjoyment. I mean, it's going to decrease their enjoyment of their property because now they've got 10 neighbors instead of possibly 2. There's going to be a lot more traffic in that area that could impact it. But I don't want to seem ungrateful. I appreciate that you're doing good work here.
Yeah, but it's not an apartment building, sorry.
Oh,
Well,
speak to us.
townhouses, yes. Sorry, guys. And I'm sure it's very nice. It's just that I do want to make sure that everybody understands it will impact the adjacent property owners. Well, it might have a great impact on our bottom line as a city. And we also need to think about the residents that will be impacted by this and maybe find a way to make sure that they're real happy with the situation as well. Because I wouldn't want to buy a house and then have my view change entirely and then feel like I'm in a downtown area versus I was in a nice, quiet, treed neighborhood. So that's just my opinion as a realtor. It will impact the adjacent property owners, but, and I'd love to see some more complexes going up in areas like where the old Frankie's was. That whole parking lot is blighted. There's apartments right next to it to the east. I mean, that would be a great place to do something like this. So, just my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
We are Jean and Howard Ward. We live in the
We wouldn't
property.
be the west tenants in
Right.
the house.
We would like to see the apartments or townhouses be put somewhere else, not on our street with all of our neighbors not wanting it here. You did a survey, a couple of you, on people that live there, and nobody wants it there. They, like she was saying about the view, we moved there 5 years ago thinking we were going to be around homes. We have grandchildren that come and play on our lot, which is connected to that lot. And we don't know why you can't invest in the many other places that are open for townhouses or apartments, whichever they end up as.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Falala mentioned that this would bring 55 new residents to the city. I'm not sure the courtroom completely understands the impact of that. That is a huge financial gain to the city. New residents spend money in their city. That increases our tax revenue, right? In addition to that, the property tax that you would get from a single-family home compared to the $70,000 in property taxes that he would pay on that building is huge. This is a big bonus for Garden City. This city is dying. We need people, and we need new buildings. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Dwayne Knoll, I live at 3083 on Pardo Street, down the way from there. I'd rather see 2 homes put in rather than the townhouses, because right now, on some days, the traffic's pretty heavy on that first road south of Ford. And my concerns are that to put in what he was proposing, that he's bringing that variance out onto that street to make room in the back for the parking. And I think you're going to have some, I believe you might have some issues with traffic and the fact that you're bringing that building out closer to the corner where you may have some issues where people are unfortunately driving too fast and might not be able to see what's going on. So the concern would be the traffic, and would be nicer if I thought if we kept it residential and we have 2 homes where he can make a few bucks off the homes and bring a few, you're still going to get revenue for the city, but not in the sake of those townhouses. But there's enough along that area. In fact, when we bought into that area, those didn't bother me because they were further down, because our area had the homes in front of it. So that's my concern, that the traffic that it's going to generate in the excess of parking. So.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, Mr. Miller, will you take roll call?
Yes. There's a motion on the floor in support of the rezoning. The motion maker was Councilmember Witt, and I will go with his vote first.
Aye.
And it was supported by Councilmember Earl.
Aye.
Councilmember Lynch.
Aye.
Councilmember Squires.
Aye.
Councilmember Karafotis. Councilmember Dole.
Nay.
Mayor Jacobs.
Aye. Motion passes 5-2. Item 2, we have another rezoning request on Warren and Inkster Road. Mr. McKenna, would you like to?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So, the Planning Commission, once again in a continuing effort to implement the city's master plan, has undertaken a city-initiated rezoning of 6 lots located at the southwest corner of Warren and Inkster. These properties include the current Chico's Mexican Restaurant at 27419 Warren, the vacant building to the west, which was previously the Old Fashioned Bakery, and the dentist office at 27459 Warren. This rezoning also includes the single-story building that's now currently vacant at 7087 Inkster Road, and the parking to the rear of that building. This building is vacant and was previously a doctor's office. The final lot proposed for rezoning is the vacant lot to the south of the vacant doctor's office. So the proposed rezoning to C2, neighborhood business, would allow for a wider variety of businesses to be located on these lots. The 2 existing businesses would be in compliance with all the zoning ordinance standards of the new zoning district. It would not negatively impact them at all. They would be actually allowed to do any additions or amendments to their existing structures, possibly even with administrative approval. And actually, just to point out that under the current zoning of R1 at the vacant building at 7087 Inkster Road and the vacant lot at 7069 Inkster Road, they can only be developed currently for single-family homes. The property owner has asked if they could occupy that existing vacant doctor's office, but unfortunately, due to the current R1 zoning, only thing that can be located in that structure would be a single-family home or some type of state residential facilities like a group home or a foster home. So the proposed rezoning would be consistent with the future land use designations of the city's master plan and with the goals and objectives of the plan. At its October 12th, 2023 meeting, the Planning Commission held a public hearing. They considered all the issues, and they have recommended that City Council approved the proposed rezoning for these 6 lots.
Thank you. Motion isn't,
Can I just ask one quick question?
sure.
On page 2 of your report that you gave us, the drawing down at the bottom in the gray section, as the gray piece gets cut in half virtually, is the southernmost one, is that still empty lot?
No, actually, that lot is, a portion of that is the parking lot. And then the southern, I believe it's 30 feet of it, is actually a landscape buffer. So that's a landscape buffer for the residents, the existing, then there's this existing single-family home on that lot to the south. I think that might be 7082 Arcola. Forgive me, I don't know the exact address. But that gray spot would be the intent would be to keep the landscape buffer between the parking lot and the house to remain.
Okay, motion is in order. Councilmember Lynch.
I move the proposed zoning ordinance amendment to rezone properties located at 27419 Warren Road, 27427 Warren Road, and 27459 Warren Road from C1 local business to C2 neighborhood business, and the rezoning of 7087 Inkster Road and 7069 Inkster Road from VP vehicular parking and R1 single-family residential to C2 neighborhood business.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Karafotis. Further discussion from the table.
I have a question.
Councilmember
Mr. Mayor,
Karafotis.
can you explain what the neighborhood business is, like, or that district?
Yes. So we have 3 commercial districts. C1 is local business, which is mainly retailers, so for people coming in to buy products, and also service uses, so like hair salons, dry cleaners, that sort of thing. The C2 allows by right, in addition, carry-out restaurants, and also other type of professional offices in there as well. And then it does actually allow, after special land use approval, some additional uses such as a drive-through restaurant. Now, this would require them submitting a architect's site plan, having a public hearing where everyone would be considering the impact of any kind of drive-through, and then it would come before city council prior to any establishment such as that. But it gives the property owners the option, and the key thing is giving the option of the Inkster properties and the bakery to be occupied.
Yeah, because they've been empty for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Further comment from the table? From the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 3, special land use request for 32115 Block Street.
Mayor?
Councilmember Squires.
I move to request to approve special land use in the M1 Light Industrial Zoning District for the establishment of recreational vehicle outdoor storage yard at 32115 Block Street, and to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation to approve, which is option 1.
Support.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. Mr. Ortega, would you like to?
Yes. Very briefly, this site is in our M1 Light Industrial District. There is an existing one-story building which is currently occupied as a warehouse, and they have a small associated office with that use. The rear portion of the site is currently officially does not have an occupied legal use. So the applicant is requesting to establish this recreational vehicle outdoor storage yard. Per the zoning ordinance, this proposed use does require the applicant go through the special land use approval process in this M1 zoning district. So at its October meeting, the Planning Commission held a public hearing, and then they have recommended approval of the proposed special land use contingent upon site plan approval. The Planning Commission also looked at the site plan issues, and they did grant conditional site plan approval at that same meeting, but this is contingent upon the applicant submitting a revised site plan to address some additional issues, and also it's contingent upon the applicant receiving a permit from Wayne County for the establishment of this outdoor storage yard. As my memo to you indicated, you have 2 options before you tonight. And the motion before you is to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation.
Thank you. Further comments?
I have a question.
Councilmember Karafotis.
To the south, that lot backs up to the back of the car lot, right?
Yes.
You can't really see anything at all from the street. from
That's
the lot.
correct, yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, item 4, City Park Playground purchase. Ms. O'Farrell, our Parks and Rec Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Did you want to read the motion?
I can do the motion at first if you want.
We can do it that way?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to recommend the purchase of a WeGo-Round with DigiFuse panel for the City Park Playground project and amend the contract with Pentura LLC in the amount of $43,350.
Support.
Report from Councilmember Squires. Okay, I thought there was a presentation.
Yep,
or-
there is. Again, Mayor and Council, the city manager, myself, and a couple Parks and Rec team members met with Pentura on October 5th, just to go over the final details, if there was any alternative pieces. The one thing I noticed in the original bid was inclusive playground pieces. And when Doc and I met with them, we had asked, is there any additional pieces that we could look at? And we did find that this WeGo-Round playground piece really accommodated more children, and also children in wheelchairs, which is very important to our community and myself with inclusive playground pieces. So I do have some video if you would like to see how the playground piece works. We have a short YouTube video. So this was the original piece in the original bid. As you can see, it accommodates about 3 children. You could probably squish 4 in there. And they're just kind of spinning around. It's a very basic spin piece. That's the previous one. So that's the one we would like to replace in the original bid. So here is the one that we are asking for approval on.
It's a very cool, inclusive solution to a sensation that's kind of difficult to achieve when you're in a chair. To be able to just engage in this thing quickly and in so many different ways is a very cool way to approach play. This piece specifically gives us all kinds of options to be able to take it on however we choose to. Being able to socialize during play is very important because, I mean, that's how we're learning from each other. That's how we're playing together.
You get to like spin it around. It's really fun. This is the best thing in my life.
You get to make new friends, you get to meet new people.
Yeah, it's really fun playing together with someone else.
One of the safety features that we incorporated into the WeGo-Round is a resistance mechanism that will control the speed rotation to a fun yet safe speed.
Accessing this piece, the WeGo-Round, is beyond cool because of the solution laid out for how we move around spatially. This gap allowing me to slide my chair on pretty easily. I can spin around here. I can move around in this area freely. The WeGo-Round, we're able to sit and we're able to face each other and we're able to engage however we choose to, but most importantly, we're able to play together.
So there's the piece. Obviously, you can see how fun that is opposed to the other piece. So that is what I am seeking for approval tonight. The other reason this is coming to council tonight is this piece has to be put in where the poured in place material is in the playground. So if we're going to do it, we need to do it now as we get ready to order all the equipment. It is in the poured in place area as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
The poured in place is the rubber
The rubber,
surface.
yeah, the rubber
I
matting
can't go back
area.
later to add it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Questions or comments
I
from the
just have
table?
one question. It says that we're amending the contract. Is that the bid that we just did the last council meeting?
Yes, it is. We would be amending the bid because the original bid was $477. And so this is an additional dollars out of the bond is covering 50% of the $450,000 in the grant, and the additional dollars would be $65,815 out of capital improvement.
Did any of the ones that we didn't pick on the bid include this in it, or no?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments
Oh, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
from the public?
I just wanted to say I love it. I think it's a great idea. I know it's going to cost more money. I'm sure you guys aren't against it or anything, but just in case anybody's watching from home, I know it's going to cost a little more money and people probably complain about that, but it's important. You need to make sure all kids are able to play on the playground and everything, and I think this is a fantastic step in the right direction for our new playground to have that in place. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, it also puts us a step above other cities in the area that everybody's complaining, oh, Garden City needs this or that. I don't know anywhere else around us that has something like that, so that's pretty awesome.
Okay. Further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 5, this is just a sidewalk special assessment to call for a public hearing.
Mayor?
Councilmember Squires.
I move to approve the attached resolution receiving the special assessment role for the 2023 sidewalk program and call for a public hearing on Monday, November 20th, 2023.
Support from Councilmember Lynch. Okay, since it's just calling for a public hearing, we don't have comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, we have no other business at this time. Public comment for items that were not on the agenda, and there is a 3-minute time limit, and it is not a time to go back and forth with council. Anybody wishing to speak? Okay. City managers report.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I just want to announce or make a statement of thanking everybody coming out for Saturday's Egg Hunt. It was 4th or 5th year we've done it. Fun had by all. Parks and Recreation staff, especially all the work that they put into it. The Dance Express, head by Lori, a few years ago, or 5 years ago now at this point, I asked them to put together a thriller dance that we can do every year as an annual thing, and it is fantastic what they do as a group just before the Egg Hunt starts. There's 30, 40 performers out there dancing the thriller dance, and it's become a nice annual thing to watch. And the communications department also for their cameras, music, and announcements. Overall, it's a wonderful, wonderful event, so I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
I just wanted to, again, make a request to the residents and people listening regarding our election inspectors for the 2024 election. I wanted to we've gotten a lot of applicants for the election inspectors, but we're still always looking for more. So if you're interested in working as being a part of democracy for 2024, please fill out the application and submit it to the clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Dole.
I have a few things. First, I'm sorry I missed the egg hunt the other night, but I was on the other side of the state celebrating my mother's 91st birthday, so happy birthday to her. Something that we kind of missed talking about, our Garden City Historical Museum, back on Labor Day, celebrated the opening of the Rosie the Riveter garden over there. So if anybody gets an opportunity, go over and take a look at it. It's wonderful. It's honoring these courageous women that kind of stepped up when they needed to for the country. Goodfellows. I want to thank everybody that came out the afterburn and supported the Goodfellows. And also, our helpline does close on November 1st. So the number to that helpline is 734-679-7838. You yourself can call if you think you may need some assistance for the holidays for the kids. If you're a neighbor and you know somebody, you can call and give us their information too, and we'll get a hold of them. Gardenville. I think Gardenville has probably supplied about 1,000 pounds of produce to our seniors and to some needy families here in Garden City. So it met its demise over the weekend. It's done for the year, but well over 1,000 pounds of produce. So I want to say thank you to everyone that worked on Gardenville. Also, we have Councilwoman Kara Fotis and I will be at Radcliffe on Thursday, November 2nd, from 7 to 9. We're going to do every other month. We'll do an afternoon, then the next month will be an evening. So we'll be over at Radcliffe on the 2nd from 7 to 9. The only other thing I wanted to bring up real quick with the city manager is GFL. I've gotten a lot of complaints, and personally on my street also, with them not picking up the yard waste.
GFL?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yep.
Yeah, and, you know, calls were made and still nothing happened. It sat out there all week. So is there something, I think you guys discussed this before, is there something in the contract that allows us to penalize them when they're not doing their job, or?
Let me take a look at it and report back to the council, just to make sure. It's, as we hear from other cities too, everyone across the board is having issues, not just with GFL, but with all their carriers. And it's unfortunate. If they miss one house, we can say maybe someone brought it out at 10 o'clock a little late. When they miss a whole block, clearly, they missed the entire block.
Yeah,
So,
they missed our whole block.
yeah, that's unacceptable. I believe they have GPS on the trucks also to see where they went, and they should have covered the town. So let me find out, report back to the
Okay,
council
I
of
appreciate that.
backup.
Thank you.
Sure.
We've had other residents recently complain also about GFL and their equipment. So every single Thursday, the truck is leaking some kind of fluid all the way down the street on Donnelly between Radcliffe and Farmington. And you could just drive there and see it, but it's every single week they're leaking something.
Oh, yeah, also, yeah, they're out at like 6 in the morning too.
We just had an issue with some of their trucks leaking over in an area, and I think Brad or Steve contacted them. They came out the next day. I think it was with a sweeper, I believe. And typically, if they miss a lot of houses, usually they'll get the residents can call the DPW, or I have gotten calls, and typically there's a contact that they have, a supervisor that usually the DPW can get a hold of, and they will come out and pick that up. But if DPW or I don't know, then it's their hotline to their business is terrible. So I would recommend calling DPW. Councilmember Lynch.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to give my sincere condolences to the family of Pat Ryback. One of her family members passed. So, and the other thing I wanted to say is, I know at Christmas time, Garden City lights up quite a bit with all the decorations, but this year at Halloween, there's a lot of decorations going up. And if you haven't already done so, now that it's getting dark earlier, take a ride around. There's a lot of great decorations, a lot of time put into the yards, so just enjoy it. That's all that I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Witt.
Yes, just 2 quick things. I was at the egg hunt on Saturday. A wonderful job by the Dance Express girls and boys that were all doing the dance. They did a wonderful job. And then tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. is the last chance for the 5-year master plan for Parks and Rec here in the council chambers. There'll be, I believe, Ms. O'Farrell told me there's going to be a little bit more of an open discussion to it because of the feedback that was seen online with people not knowing about last week's at the Radcliffe Center, which had, I believe, 3 residents and then a bunch of Parks and Rec employees, myself, Councilwoman Lynch, and 2 of the commissioners from the board, yes. So tomorrow evening, 6:30 p.m. in the City Hall Council Chambers, the final discussion for the 5-year master plan before everything gets finalized and put together. So make it out if you missed it and add your ideas to the list. That's all that I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Squires.
Yeah, I just have one thing here. I just want to remind our seniors that if they don't have a copy of the Rec Connect, to try and get one. You can get them at Radcliffe Center. And there's a lot of activities with winter coming up. There's a lot of activities that you're going to want to get out of the house for. There's free activities. There's some that the cost is very little. They also have an open computer lab on Mondays and Fridays. Mondays from 9 to 2, Fridays from 2 to 7. That is free. If you don't have a computer and need to use one, you're welcome to go. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Karafotis.
Okay, I have a lot. At the last meeting, I asked about an update for the firehouse. Do we have that?
That was emailed out to everybody.
I didn't see it. I know other people are asking. Can you tell the public?
Well, right now, they're about to, you see the trusses were being put in today, so that was additional onto the email that you guys received from the developer. The time lag a little bit was a sewer line that had to be replaced. They're guesstimate about a month behind, up to 4 weeks. But once they close the exterior, you're not going to be able to see them. They'll be working on the interior, which they have already started at this point. So expectation was to go into at least Christmas time. They said, I believe, 3 months was in the email of finishing time at this point. So
Only like a month behind, and that's it.
yeah, our guesstimate was that it was going to be in sometime in the late winter to finish off anyway. They're trying to avoid of rehousing the firemen as much as possible. So once they get inside, there's going to be some moving around to get it done. But truss is finally going up is the big ticket because the roof will be on and then construction outside will cease.
Thank you. At the last DDA meeting, our new board member, Ghassan, discussed a program called The Complete Street to help develop our downtown. And over the weekend, I did some research on this, and I'd like to know if our city's ever attempted to do that, The Complete Street. It could possibly help reduce the speed limit on Ford Road, bring more foot traffic to downtown. It helps small downtowns get lane reductions, curb extensions, parking signage, streetscaping, bike lanes. And it looked, by what I saw on our Michigan State page, that it's not something our DDA can do on its own. It says that the process starts with the council making a resolution to adopt the Complete Street program, and then we have to add it to our master plan and have our DPS and our clerk start working on transportation agencies like with MDOT and Wayne County, the commission. And it says we'd have to start looking for funding. There's no grant for it or no money. It's all, the city would have to provide the money or find their own funding. But after looking at it for a long time, it's amazing some of the stuff that they do or help you do. Have we ever looked into that while you've been here?
No, not that program. It's a calming factor. What you're talking about is changing from 4 lanes down to 2, some indentions, some medians. Our issue is going to be the county roads versus state roads. We have no say over them, and since the day I got here, I've been wanting to put a median down Middle Belt, including a large clock tower, and make this our kind of downtown strip, so anyone that gets the Ford Road intersection looks and sees a clock tower and says, oh, this is Garden City, I thought this was Westland or anything else. I've gotten no positive feedback from anybody at the county that I've talked to, because not many in the county or state are interested in slowing down traffic, even though we'd like to. Their job is to get cars as fast as possible from Canton down to Detroit and down to the airport from up north. So, no, without a doubt, I'll look more into it. I heard him say that also.
Yeah, I did.
If it was our streets, we'd be able to control of exactly what we're going to do.
But one of the things that they talked about is once you start it, then they put you in contact with other people from the state that help you talk to the county and say, look, that we did it here on Michigan Avenue in Wayne, Garden City wants to do it, and then get you, I guess, talking to the right people, because we all know it's very difficult to talk to the county and we don't get a lot of help from them. So it's a group of, I think, 10 board members that do this program, and they help you. So
I think it'll work well with Councilman Witt's curb.
Yeah, I talked with Board Member Kaloff after the meeting and asked for a little bit of the information as well to bring up when we start doing the committee meetings for the Ford Road Restoration Project to see if that's a viable option, and we'll have the contacts with everything.
We'll take a good look at it.
I printed it off for the city manager. I have all the contacts for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
And then I know recently there's been a lot of conflict at our DDA meetings, and one of the things that came up is us getting a community development person, and I definitely am for getting that. Everyone on our council has talked about that previously, that that's what we wanted. Well, he was calling it community developer. So they talked about asking the DDA for funds to help pay for that, and the more the merrier. The more we can work together, the better. But since we already approved that line item for over $200,000, does that mean that if the DDA pays into it, we have extra money, like $70,000 that we're going to figure out something else to do with it?
That's not traditionally the way we would look at it. The objective is
layman's
hiring.
terms.
Yeah, the objective is hiring that person and then having 70,000 brought in from the DDA. That was the plan back in the budget sessions as well as when we finalized the budget this summer. So it wasn't something we look at the 70 is to go somewhere else. 70 is to help compensate that position. If we don't hire that position at all, we're not spending that money at all from our budget. So
No, what I meant is we approved the
Yes.
230, and the DDA is going to pay 70 of that,
yeah,
so.
but we may not hire that position at all. That's not a mandatory position that we're going to hire unless we work with the DDA. So indirectly, you could say, yes, there's extra money there, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's extra money. If we don't hire, we have 200,000 extra.
If we hire and there's extra money, can I make some suggestions? One thing that we talked about was a grant writer, and part-time grant writers, or even full-time grant writers in Michigan right now are only making like $60,000, or for the Parks and Rec Department, because right now, it seems like we're fixing all these other things, and Radcliffe is getting a lot of money that's needed, but our ice arena needs a lot of money to update it. The parking lot at Kiwanis Park is awful. Now that I'm picking up my kids from the bus stop, I see I like swallowed my van last week. So those kind of things that I'm thinking about. Even, I know a lot of residents are asking about a walking path at Florence Park too. Anyway, so I hope we decide to choose that, how we spend that money wisely after, if we have it available. Lastly, I'm happy to say that today I attended my first 3-hour training session for the Board of Directors for the Wayne County Senior Alliance. I was happy to learn about all the things that they do, that we can offer our senior residents. I was literally amazed. I don't know how many times in the last 10 years someone's called me and said, oh, my mom needs to get a ramp, we can't get her in out of the house, who do we call? Nobody ever has an answer. You could call the Senior Alliance and they would have someone come out and give you a ramp. So there's so many things that I wasn't aware that they do, so I'm really looking forward to working with them and helping our seniors in Garden City. I was also happy to find out that another new appointed board member is also from Garden City, and she's a nurse at a local hospital, and she's all about seniors, and she's on the board too. So I think that we're actually going to really find out a lot of things that the Senior Alliance does for us, and it's going to help our city a lot. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Earl.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one thing. Tomorrow, Red Robin Westland, they're doing a fundraiser that helps out Project Grad. So if you happen to be hungry tomorrow, maybe that's a good place to go. It's from 11 to 10, which I believe is just basically all day there. And it's dine-in and carry-out. And they give 20% back to Project Grad. So if you can support Project Grad, I'd appreciate it. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I have just a couple things. First, I'd like to send out my condolences to the Taylor family. Dave Taylor passed away about a week ago, so condolences to them. Also, Halloween is coming up. Please drive carefully. The little ones tend to run out and be excited, so you need to be extra slow and extra careful. Finally, Veterans Day is November 11th. We will be having a celebration at 11 a.m., 11 a.m. at the American Legion Post 396 on Middle Belt. It is open to the public, so anybody that would like to come down and honor our veterans, please feel free. Having said that, no further business. This meeting is adjourned.